Hello there, my dear friends and companions. I have a very special and deeply personal story to share with you today. It is a story that feels like it belongs in a movie or a book from another world. But I promise you that it is very much a real part of my actual life, a group of caring experts. People who spend their days helping others navigate the rocky roads of life suggested that I talk about this. They believe that even when you're getting older, life can still be full of surprises, some of which are very hard to handle. I am 68 years old now. Usually, when a person reaches this wonderful age of 68, they are mostly thinking about how to spend their retirement years in peace. They are thinking about where to go on a nice morning walk when the sun is just coming up and the air is cool. They are thinking about their hobbies, like gardening or painting, or maybe they're looking forward to playing on the grass with their sweet grandkids. You expect life to slow down and become a quiet, happy song. But there was a person in my life who looked at a marriage that had lasted 34 long and beautiful years and decided to make some very sad and very bad choices while there was still time left on the clock. This is a story about a woman I was married to for over 3 decades, a woman who broke my heart not just one time, but twice. She eventually told me that what she did was the biggest mistake she ever made in her whole life. But by the time she said those words, I was already moving on and finding my own quiet happiness. I am 68 years old now, and I have spent a lot of my free time reading stories about how people treat each other. I always used to think that the problems people wrote about, the heartbreaks and the lies, were things that folks in my age group just did not have to deal with anymore. When I was a young man and I was out dating, things felt much simpler and more honest. I am not a silly or naive man, so I know deep down that being unfaithful or cheating can happen to anyone at any age. But when you have been married for 34 years and you are almost 70, you just sort of think those kind of heavy storms are far behind you. It feels like a very safe bet to think that by that age, you and your partner are on the same team for good, and nothing can pull you apart. But I found out that Linda, the woman I have been married to for exactly half of my entire life, has not been honest with me at all. I really wish I had known the truth a long time ago, but here I am, many years late to the party. The thing that bothers me the most is not just that she chose to do this during a hard time a few years back. The painful truth is she was doing it this very year, and it was still happening when I finally found out. I cannot even be sure if these were the only 2 times she broke our promises. Even though we are older now, we still had a very close and loving relationship in every single way. Some people think that the romance and special time in the bedroom just stop working when you reach a certain age, but that is simply not true. While things do change as we get older, and that is just a natural fact of life, the love and the physical closeness do not have to go away if 2 people truly care for each other. For us, things seemed very normal and steady every day, which is probably why I never once thought anything bad was happening behind my back. After being married for 34 years, we had our own special way of talking to each other. Linda usually only calls me by my first name or one of 2 sweet little nicknames she has used for a very long time. But one day, out of nowhere, she called me Birdie. I have never been called Birdie in my whole life. It felt very strange and out of place to me. When I asked her why she used that name, she got very nervous and her hands started to get shaky. She told me she was just trying out something new to keep our marriage feeling fresh and exciting. Now, I think it is a wonderful thing to try new things when you've been married a long time. It helps keep the spark of love alive. But I just did not believe her in that moment. We already had our own ways of making life exciting, and that name, Birdie, just did not feel like it fit me at all. She kept using the name for the rest of the day, but it felt like she was forcing it, like she was reading from a script. Over the next few days, she stopped using it entirely. That made me feel like she only said it so much that first day because she was trying to convince me, and maybe herself, that the name was always meant for me and not someone else. Because we had been together for so long, I wanted to trust her with my whole heart. Most of the time, I did. But 34 years is also long enough to know exactly when your partner is acting different. Her reaction when I asked about the name was not what I expected at all. If she was just trying to be sweet, she would have laughed or been playful. Instead, she seemed like she was hiding a dark secret. I started to worry that Birdie was a name she used for someone else, someone she was getting very close to who was not me. I felt bad for even having those thoughts. After all these years, you would think trust would not be an issue. It was a very sad thought to think she could be cheating, but I decided I had to look into it for my own peace of mind. I did not want to go through her phone like a spy, because that felt wrong. To some people, what I did next might seem very extreme, but I decided to hire a private helper, a person whose whole job it is to find out the truth. When I was younger, I used to be a bit of a jealous man, but I thought I had grown way past that. It turns out those feelings were still there, tucked away in a corner of my heart. This was the first time in many years I felt I had a real reason to be suspicious. The helper I hired was very good at his job and very professional. It only took him 3 days of watching where she went after her work to tell me that he saw her with another man. This man was older, but not quite as old as my wife. The helper guessed he was maybe in his late 50s. A few days later, I got more details and some photos that were very hard for me to look at. The man's name was Victor. We did not know how they first met, but they were friends on the computer on a site called Facebook. Victor owns a local business in our town. I guess they just met somewhere in the city and started a secret romance. The pictures showed them holding hands and hugging. They were not doing anything more than that in the photos, but for a married woman, holding another man's hand is more than enough to show there's a big problem. In my generation, we do not have a hard time knowing that this is wrong. Anyone would look at those pictures and know that a married woman should not be acting that way with a stranger. I knew I had to talk to her. I have lived a long life and learned how to handle many difficult things, but I have never had to end marriage. I had broken up with girlfriends a long, long time ago, but that is nothing like ending a marriage that has lasted 34 years. I felt very stuck. Part of me wanted to just forgive her because I was so used to having her around. But I asked myself if I wanted to be the kind of man who lets someone treat him that way. It does not matter how much time you have put into a relationship. If the love and the honesty are gone, maybe the relationship should be over too. I was not going to try to keep something alive that was already broken and bleeding. This is the next part of my story. I found out Linda was having a secret relationship with a man named Victor. I did not know him, and I did not know everything they were doing, but the photos from my helper showed they were acting like a couple. I decided to just be direct and talk to her about it. I am too old to play games or try to get revenge in a mean way. I sometimes read about young people getting back at their exes, and it can feel good to see them stand up for themselves, but I just did not have the energy for that. A few days after I found out, I sat Linda down in our living room. I had given myself time to feel my feelings, so I could stay calm and quiet. I told her I knew she was hiding something from me. I did not tell her about the helper I hired. I just told her I knew about Victor. She was so shocked she could hardly breathe. I told her right then and there that we had to get a divorce. It was a very painful thing to say, but I knew it was the only way to save my heart. Since I have known her for so long, I knew she would not try to fight me on it. I asked her to tell me what happened. She told me how sorry she was, and she seemed like she really meant it, but a sorry does not fix 34 years of broken trust. She met Victor at a store where he sells old, vintage things from the past. She was looking for some nice plates for our kitchen. They liked the same kinds of things, and they started talking. She said she did not mean for it to become a romance, but they started sending emails to each other. They did not use phones. They used email, which means they were writing a lot of letters to each other. She said her feelings for him just grew over time. It did not surprise me. A woman who is almost 70 does not usually cheat just for fun. She usually does it because she is feeling for the person. I asked her if she really loved him, and she said she did. Even though I try to be a strong man, that hurt me very deeply. We have been doing life together for so long. It was hard to understand how a stranger could come along and make her want to throw away everything we built. Then she told me something else. She wanted to be completely honest now that everything was out. She told me that 25 years ago, she had cheated on me once before. That time, she said it was just a mistake of the moment. She had kept it a secret all this time and promised herself she would never do it again. She thought she was being a good person now because she claimed she and Victor had not actually slept together. She thought that because they had not done that, It was not as bad as the first time. I almost wanted to laugh because it was so silly. It was so strange. But finding out about the first time did not hurt as much as I thought it would. Maybe I was already so hurt that I could not feel any more pain. I told her, very sarcastically, "Thank you for being honest. We had been married for 9 years when that first thing happened. That is plenty of time to know better." It made me feel like our marriage was never as important to her as it was to me. I felt like I had wasted so many years with her. There was nothing left to say. I did not need to know every little detail. Knowing more would not make me feel better. It would probably just make me feel worse. So I called a friend who was a lawyer for families. He was shocked. Everyone thought we were the perfect couple. That is a good lesson for everyone. You never really know what is happening in someone else's house just by looking at them from the outside. I started the legal paperwork for the divorce. We were still living in the same house, which was very awkward since we had lived there for over 20 years. I did not mind her keeping the house because it will probably go to our children one day anyway, but it did bother me to think that Victor might move in. It felt like she was being rewarded for doing something wrong, but I just let my lawyer handle everything. It has been a few months now since my last update. My divorce is all finished and done. Linda got the house, and we split up our money and the things we owned. I got a good amount of money from the value of the house, so I was able to get a very nice apartment. I do not want to worry about a big house anymore. We had to tell our grown-up children, and they were very sad, of course. But they are adults in their late 20s, and they are old enough to understand that life is complicated and messy. I did not try to hide what their mother did. I think they have a right to know the truth, so they can make up their own minds. My oldest daughter, who is 29, told me I should go out and do all the things I always wanted to do. She said I was free now. It sounded like a great idea. I had some extra money, so I decided to enjoy myself. I have always wanted to see China, so I went there for a whole week. It was wonderful. I walked through the busy streets of Beijing and saw the Great Wall. I also always wanted a boat, but Linda never liked that idea. Instead of buying a big boat, I went to a beautiful town by a lake and stayed in a lodge. I went fishing every day on the quiet water, and it was so peaceful. I went to a show for old, classic cars and met some very nice people who like the same things I do. I saw a shiny red Mustang and an old truck that reminded me of my father. I even went to movies by myself to see some of the new films, and I actually had a great time eating popcorn in the dark. I have been trying to find joy in small things, like the taste of a good cup of tea or the sound of the birds in the park, and it is working. I am actually the happiest I have been in a long time. Even though getting divorced after so many years is a very big, heavy thing, I feel lighter every day. I would rather be a little bit sad and alone than be with someone who is not honest with me. I did not try to keep track of what Linda was doing. I just figured she was living with Victor. But then one day, she showed up at my new apartment. I had not given her my address, so one of my kids must have told her where I was. She said she needed to talk and that it was very important. I thought maybe she was sick, because why else would she come to my door? She started by saying how sorry she was for everything. I just nodded my head. I did not want to argue about the past anymore. I told her to get to the point. She told me she missed me. I told her that I missed her too, because you cannot just stop missing someone you live with for 34 years. But missing someone does not mean you should be with them. She said she hoped she could change my mind. She said cheating on me was the biggest mistake she ever made in her whole life. She said marrying me was the best thing she ever did, and she ruined it. She hated that she had to lose me to realize how much I meant to her. She wanted me to know how much she regretted everything. I asked what happened with Victor. She said he was a mistake, and she never should have been with him. I told her that calling it a mistake was way too small of a word for something that destroyed a 34-year marriage. She asked if we could try again. I told her no right away. She looked very surprised. She said, "But you said you miss me." I explained that you can miss someone and still know they are not the right person for your life. She cheated twice, and I could never get past that. Her eyes filled with tears. She asked if there was any way to go back and fix it, so we could be together for the rest of our lives. I told her no. I saw a tear fall down her face, And it was hard to see because I am a human being with a heart. But I told her she had to leave. I am living my life now and enjoying it, and she is not a part of that happiness anymore. She tried to beg me, but I stayed firm and told her to go. That was the last time we really talked, and I am glad. I tried to be a good husband, but she treated me like I was a fool. Now I am going to live my life the way I want to. It is funny how those 34 years only seemed important to her after she broke them into pieces. If things with Victor had stayed perfect, she would not be crying at my door. People usually only say they made a mistake when their new plan does not work out. She wanted to have the comfort of our old life without having to be loyal to me. But in the end, it was not Victor who broke us. It was Linda. Victor was just a dream she had that did not turn out to be real. That is a very high price to pay for a little bit of excitement. If you were in my place, would the second time be what finished it for you? Or would finding out about the secret from 25 years ago be the thing that ended it? I would love to hear what you think about this. Thank you for listening to my story and spending time with me today. It means a lot to have people who care. Please remember to be kind to each other and cherish the people who are honest with you. Goodbye for now, and I hope you have a very lovely day. Take care of yourselves out there. It is a big world, but there is still a lot of beauty in it if you look for it. Until we speak again, stay happy and stay true to who you are. The road might be long, but every step is worth it when you are walking it with a clear heart. Life is a gift. And even at 68, I am learning that every single day is a brand new chance to be happy and to find peace. Thank you again, and I will see you soon. I spent some more time thinking about my trip to China. It was so different from the life I knew. I saw a man fishing in a river with a bird, and it made me smile because it was so simple and peaceful. I realized that the world is full of different ways to be happy. You do not have to follow the path everyone else expects. When I was 60, I thought I knew what the next 20 years would look like. Now at 68, I have no idea, and that is actually quite exciting. I am looking forward to the next classic car show because there is a group of people there who really understand the value of things that are built to last. They take such good care of those old cars, polishing chrome and making the engines run like new. I think that is a beautiful way to live. I want to be like one of those cars, well cared for and still able to go on a long journey. I have started cooking for myself too. It is not as hard as I thought. I make a very good soup now. I like to sit by the window in my apartment and watch the people walking their dogs. It is a quiet life, but it is my life, and nobody can take it away from me. I feel lucky to have my children, even though they are busy with their own lives. They check on me, and I check on them. We are a family, and that is what matters most. I hope my story helps someone else who might be feeling lost or hurt. Just remember that you are never too old to start over. You are never too old to find joy. The sun will come up tomorrow, and you can decide what kind of day you want to have. I choose to have a good one. I choose to be happy. I choose to be free. And that is the best feeling in the world. I will keep walking my path, one step at a time, with a heart that is open to the beauty of the world. There is so much to see and so much to do. I might even go back to the Lake Lodge next summer. The fish are waiting, and the water is calling my name. It is a good life, my friends. It is a very good life indeed. I want to say thank you again for being here with me. It feels like I am talking to old friends. When I sit in my new chair, I think about how far I have come. I think about the many years of work and the many years of being a husband and a father. It has been a long journey, and it has not always been easy. But here I am, still standing and still smiling. I want you to know that if you're going through a hard time, you can get through it too. You are stronger than you think. You have a light inside you that nobody can blow out. Keep that light burning bright. Do not let anyone make you feel like you are not enough. You are more than enough. You are a wonderful person with a whole world of possibilities ahead of you. So, take a deep breath and look at the sky. It is a big, beautiful sky, and it belongs to all of us. I will be here, sharing my stories and listening to yours. We are all in this together. Goodbye, my friends, and take care.